Part 3. When Abraham Lincoln took the oath of office on March 4, 1861, 7 states had already seceded from the Union. By the time he finished his inaugural address, a plea for peace, for the better angels of our nature, the nation was already sliding toward war. He was 52 years old. His hair was rapidly graying. The lines on his face had deepened into permanent furrows, and the sadness that had always lived behind his eyes, that same darkness his stepmother had noticed in the boy who wandered alone through Indiana forests, was about to be tested as never before. The slow walker had finally reached the summit of American political life, and found nothing there but a precipice. The White House in 1861 was not the gleaming symbol we imagine today. It was drafty, poorly lit, smelling of horses and coal smoke. Visitors described it as gloomy, almost mournful, a fitting home for the man who now inhabited it. Lincoln moved through those dim hallways like a ghost. The presidency had become a prison of impossible choices. He worked 18-hour days. He met with generals who brought nothing but bad news. He read casualty reports that grew longer each month. Bull Run, Shiloh, Antietam. The names of battles became the names of mass graves. Each name represented thousands of young men who had marched off with songs on their lips, and now lay silent in muddy fields. Lincoln memorized the numbers. He carried them like stones in his pockets. And at night, when the advisors had gone, and the house fell silent, Lincoln walked. Staff members saw him at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, shuffling in slippers, his nightshirt hanging on his gaunt frame. He would stand at windows, staring at nothing, perhaps counting the faces of the dead as they marched past, perhaps asking himself, is this worth it? Am I doing the right thing? His secretary wrote that Lincoln was in a state of terrible depression. A visitor said he seemed the saddest man I have ever seen. But even in darkness, Lincoln found ways to connect. He would stop to talk with soldiers guarding the White House, asking about their homes and families. He visited hospitals for hours, sitting by bedsides, holding the hands of dying men. One soldier who lost both legs at Antietam recalled how the president sat with him for an hour. Lincoln didn't offer platitudes. He simply listened, asked about the young man's mother, his sweetheart, the farm where he grew up. When he left, the soldier felt less alone. This was Lincoln's gift. His own suffering had taught him to sit with others in their darkness without flinching. But the war would not be the heaviest burden he carried in that house. Willie Lincoln was 11 years old in February 1862. Bright, curious, kind, the son most like his father. They would spend hours together reading, talking, playing chess. No matter how grave the crisis, Lincoln would stop everything to be with his boy. In a life filled with loss, Willie was uncomplicated joy. When Lincoln looked at his son, he saw everything he hoped the world could be. Then Willie got sick. It started small, a fever, some weakness, but the fever didn't break. Day by day, Willie faded. Typhoid fever, probably from the contaminated water supply that served the White House. The same water on the president's table was killing his son. For 2 weeks, Lincoln and Mary watched their boy decline. Lincoln would leave cabinet meetings to sit by Willie's bed. He would read to him, hold his hand, tell stories about Indiana, about forests and rivers and starlit skies. He prayed. Lincoln's faith was complicated. He questioned, doubted, wrestled with God. But in those desperate hours, he begged, promised anything if his boy would live. On February 20, 1862, William Wallace Lincoln died. He was 11 years old. Lincoln was in the room. He watched the life leave his son's eyes, felt the small hand go limp, heard Mary's scream, "My poor boy," he whispered, "my poor boy." What followed was shattering. He locked himself away and wept, not quietly, great, racking sobs that staff heard through walls. One witness called it the most terrible thing I have ever heard, a heartbreaking beyond repair. In the days after, Lincoln returned to Willie's body again and again. Had the coffin opened, unable to accept his son was gone, stared at that peaceful face as if he could will the boy back to life. He was too good for this earth, Lincoln said. I know he is better off in heaven, but we loved him so. It is hard to have him die. The funeral was held in the East Room. Lincoln sat in a daze, barely hearing the prayers. All he could see was the small coffin. All he could think was that his boy would never grow up, never know love, never ride horses with his father in summer. Mary's grief was even more devastating. She couldn't attend the funeral. For months, she lay in bed, refusing food, refusing comfort. She never entered Willie's room again. She held seances, trying to contact his spirit, desperate to believe death wasn't final. Lincoln understood the desperation. He felt it too, but he could not collapse. The war would not pause for his mourning. The morning after the funeral, while Mary lay prostrate and his heart still bled, Lincoln was back at his desk, reading reports of death on a scale that dwarfed his own loss. Think about that. Weeping for your son at night, signing orders that send other sons to die by morning. Every day, letters arrived from mothers who had lost their boys, asking why. Lincoln read them all. In each letter, he saw his own grief reflected. But those sons died for something. Willie died for nothing, because the water was bad, because the world takes the innocent without reason. Lincoln bore both weights, personal tragedy and national catastrophe. The depression he had carried since childhood and the nation's agony, made manifest in blood. There were days when darkness was so thick he could hardly breathe. His friends worried. The jokes that once came easily now had to be forced. He seemed older, slower, worn to bone, but he did not stop. Day after day, battle after battle, he continued. If you have ever had to function while your heart was breaking, if you have ever smiled while grief sat like stone in your chest, if you have ever put one foot forward when everything screamed to stop, then you understand Lincoln in a way no biography can capture. He was not superhuman. He was a man who hurt constantly, who had known loss since childhood, who now added his son's death to a burden already too heavy, and kept going anyway. By 1864, 600,000 were dead, more American lives than all other wars combined. Lincoln carried those numbers, met with widows and orphans, visited hospitals where young men died in rows. He wrote personal letters to families of the fallen. To one mother who lost 5 sons, I feel how weak must be any word of mine, which should attempt to beguile you from grief so overwhelming. But I cannot refrain from tendering the thanks of the Republic they died to save. I pray our Heavenly Father may assuage your anguish, and leave you only the cherished memory of the loved and lost. He meant every word, felt every death. I am a tired man, he said that summer. Sometimes I think I am the tiredest man on earth. Look at photographs from this period. Compare them to 4 years earlier. The same man but aged decades. Eyes that have seen boys die screaming. That have read letters from mothers begging for mercy. That have looked into a small coffin. That have stared into darkness at 3 in the morning. searching for reasons to continue. And yet, those eyes never stopped looking forward. That man never stopped walking. He never quit, never gave up, never let darkness stop him from what he believed was right. The Emancipation Proclamation, the Gettysburg Address, the 13th Amendment, the stubborn insistence that the Union would be preserved and slavery would end. He paid for it in sleepless nights and gray hair, in his son's death and his wife's breakdown, in depression that never lifted. He paid, and kept paying, because he believed in something larger than his own suffering. The question is how? How does a man who has known such sorrow find strength to continue? How does he keep walking when every step is agony? When darkness whispers, it would be easier to stop. That is what we must explore next. The philosophy that sustained him, the tools he used to bear the unbearable, because Lincoln's answer may be the most important lesson his life has to offer.